Okay, so I said that Luther had separated the Catholic Church from the state, from that Holy Roman Empire and all that ended in the 19th century. So what you had in Europe after Luther was you had the Catholic countries who obeyed the Pope, and you had the Protestant countries that obeyed the princes and the Catholic kings, and the Protestant kings and all that. And if a Catholic went into a Protestant country, he got his head chopped off. If a Protestant went into a Catholic country, he had his head chopped off. So there was no religious toleration or anything. It was very radical kind of a thing there with religion. And the Jews were even worse. I mean, they got kicked out of all the countries of Europe. And Spain expelled them, And the only place they had to go to was Turkey. The military leader of Turkey took in all the Jews and gave them a place there and to live and everything else. And so the Jews should remember that in history, that they, at worst point of their time, they were expelled from Europe by both Catholics and Protestants, and the only ones that took them in and welcomed them into the country were the Muslims. So that's a consideration. I mean, a historical consideration, not to be so hard on these people, because they did practice a great act of goodness and charity. So now the only country in Europe that had religious toleration and freedom was Holland. So you could go to Holland. You could be a Jew, a Protestant, a Catholic, whatever, and Holland would give you religious freedom. So that's why Holland became such a prosperous country. All the Jews went there, and they made that little country into a great country. And they progressed and everything, the culture, arts, and all that, because of that religious toleration and freedom and all that. Okay, now, I had said that King James of England wanted to consolidate and secure his power as king. So he came up with this divine right theory, where he said that the king got his power directly from God and had to respond only to God, basing himself on the Old Testament with Saul and David and Solomon and all these other people. Now, Robert, because he didn't want to share power with the nobles of England who wanted to, have some say in the government and all that, because there was a fight between them. Now, Robert Bellarmine, who was an Italian Jesuit cardinal, he wrote some political works, and he said, he challenged King James' theory. He said, no way. He said, the king has no divine rights. What it is that political power comes, all the source of political and power and authority come from God. All right? He's the source of all power and authority. But he brings it into society through the people, okay? It's through the people that this power comes in society, coming from God through the people. And the people, the king is supposed to obey the people, all right? Kind of a thing. So this caused a big sensation in Europe. Big sensation. This was the first time anybody had said anything like this, that the people were the ones that had the political rights and power and authority, but coming from God. All right? So Abraham was enthused with this. This inspired the beginnings of democracy. John Locke, Jefferson, all these people, they got everything from Bellarmine. He's the one that started the whole thing, the democratic principles and all that. But it came from the people, but from God through the people, giving it to the people. So, but you see, England would allow all these religious groups that were being persecuted to go to the colonies and practice the religion there. So they had all kinds of people coming here to America. You had the Pilgrims, and you had the Anglicans, and it became the Episcopalians, and then you had the Lutherans, and you had the Baptists, and you had the Catholics, and all sorts of groups. But you had no atheists. 13 colonies. Each colony has one particular religious group. Massachusetts had the Puritans. Maryland had the Catholics. Carolinas had the Baptists. But you had no colony that was an atheist colony. I mean, atheism was something unheard of, something ridiculous and stupid and, idiotic kind of thing. Who on earth was an atheist? I mean, it was very reasonable and sensible to be a religious person. And that's the climate and the environment that our Constitution, our laws, our Declaration, our documents, everything else was in this climate, even if it's not mentioned. But the spirit, the whole thing, was religious. There was no atheists in that 13th, those representatives of the colonies when they're forming the government of the United States and all that. It was taken for granted, it was self-evident, that people has to have a religion, have a God, sort of thing. Of course, they didn't want one religion to dominate another one, but the basic foundation was God. And if Bellarmine said that God is the source of all political authority and power and all that, who gives it to the people, of course, everybody that formed democracies in Europe and in the U.S. took that all for granted. They believe in that. That's where it came from. But the next video, I'll talk about how the atheism came into society and the governments.